Hey guys, check it out. You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube. Oh no! I love talking about Descendants and Zombies. It is only 8:57 a.m. I'm your host, Jonathan Clarke. Welcome back to my channel. I am really excited, for those of you who are fans of Descendants and Zombies, for Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland, which this time next year will see its premiere on Disney Plus and Disney Channel, and I am really excited about it. This time next year, we'll be counting down the hours, the minutes, the seconds, literally to the premiere of Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland. Kylie Cantrell, Malia Baker reprising their roles, and I'm really excited about it. But who I've been following here recently, a lot having to do with Meg Donnelly, because Meg Donnelly has been very outspoken about her time with the Disney company. Now she's parting ways with the Disney company for the time being to promote her EP, Dying Art, which is on megdonnelly.com, and she's doing a lot of promotion for this on podcasts. I really appreciate how Meg Donnelly's being so open and honest, with an open heart and an open mind, telling everybody about how she feels about her time and her experience with the Disney company, working with the Zombies franchise, making it so phenomenal for so many different age demographics and all walks of life. So many people drawing inspiration, including yours truly, from the Zombies franchise, because Zombies really, to me, really touched my heart in so many unbelievable ways. There was such a passion and an art with the Zombies that a lot of people I don't think really realize just how powerful the script was, how second chances were realistic, how dreams weren't really that far away, how one could fall in love with somebody they constantly see in their dreams. I myself have seen a lot of people in my dreams, although I've never met anybody in my dreams. I thought many times in my lifetime I was going to, but after having seen so many people in my dreams, it never became a reality for us until we saw Victor and Nova take over the franchise the way they did, with the torch being passed to them. Really excited to see where we go with Malachi Burton and Freya Skye, because their chemistry is certainly off the charts, and a lot of people talking about it, giving it great reviews. But apart from the great reviews that we've been hearing about Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, which was the best of the franchise in my opinion, a lot of people were criticizing it to the point where it really got on my nerves. It really upset me, and I wanted to say good things about Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, because going into it I expected big things and a very huge future for people like Freya Skye and Malachi Burton, who really did the best for their careers, made the best career choices getting involved with the Zombies franchise, and did the best they could for the franchise, because it meant so much to them growing up watching Zombies and Descendants, like many of us, of course. Descendants and Zombies is the reason we are all here this morning, and I'm really excited to see where we go with both franchises because of the reviews they have been receiving. If you read any of the reviews that Descendants and Zombies have been getting, 50% of them at least are pretty much great reviews, and the other 50%, well, not so much, and a lot of people are YouTubing videos that really don't make a whole lot of sense. So I just kind of wanted to alleviate the pressure off of your shoulders with an open heart and an open mind, and tell you how I feel about Descendants and Zombies. Off the success of the Worlds Collide Tour, which is still touring. We've got a couple of tour dates left up until September 16th. Everybody is really excited to see where we go from here in the dust and the mist of the success of Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires and the upcoming release of Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland, which will happen sometime between now and summer 2026. A lot of really cool predictions being thrown out there about the relationship between Pink and Red, which will exist as one of the consequences of time travel. I would love to go back in time and relive my time in the 1990s. After hearing Kylie Cantrell being so adamant about wanting to live through the 1990s, I was a millennial, so I had the opportunity and the chance of a lifetime, I should say, to grow up in the 1990s, witnessing the rise of the popular band, the Backstreet Boys, going down in history for being the greatest boy band of all time. Many boy bands will argue for that claim, like NSYNC will dispute it, Hanson, so many of them. But I think the Backstreet Boys went down in history for being the greatest of all time a long time ago, ever before anybody ever had that claim bestowed upon them. Then, of course, the success of NSYNC, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, the rise in popularity of Eminem, who Meg Donnelly actually wants to meet. I think a lot of people want to meet Eminem. I think that's their goal in life, but he's not really that professional of a person. Take it from a guy who worked at his radio station, not that professional of a guy, and someone who I wouldn't want to encounter again or come face to face with, let me tell you that. I'm really proud, because of people like Eminem, to be able to sit at home and record a podcast independently and give you my opinion on Descendants and Zombies. Meg Donnelly's music is beautiful. That song, Strangers, gorgeous song. I listen to that every morning. It's on my YouTube playlist on YouTube Music. It's off the album Dying Art. The EP is fabulous, but I think what a lot of people don't really understand is just how much of a constant struggle it really is to produce an album independently. And why Meg Donnelly wanted to go out on her own was because the Disney company just took full creative control of the Zombies. They've been doing that for a while. And I think that Meg Donnelly wanting to be the producer alongside Milo Manheim was a good executive decision to make a real good point, because the Zombies franchise meant so much to her and Milo that they just didn't want to say goodbye. I mean, they could have closed the book, said, okay, the story between Zed and Addison was completed. Now we're leaving it up to Freya and Malachi to tell the story of Victor and Nova as Daywalkers and Nightwalkers. And now people are even suggesting they should change the title from Zombies 5, which apparently is going to be called, to something like Dawn of the Vampires 2, what have you. I kind of agree with you guys, because if the focus is not on zombies and how a human and a zombie can coexist in the world, how a girl can fall in love with a zombie and stay in love eternally, I think that would be kind of cool if we changed it up from Zombies 5 to something like Dawn of the Vampires 2, or say Seabrook Rise of the Mermaids or something like that, focused on the citizens of Seabrook and how people are settling in the Seabrook, like werewolves, aliens, and how mermaids, pirates, and sirens to come. I've been a big fan of mermaids all of my life. I've lived on this island that have a lot of folk tales, having to do a lot of legendary tales with having something to do with mermaids. So, having all this history on this island with mermaids and fairies, I think this would be the perfect location to shoot zombies, and I think this would be the perfect place to tell a story. A tale, if you would, a folk literature tale about mermaids, because they are beautiful, powerful creatures on times, and sometimes very mysterious and mischievous, because you never can expect anything less from a mermaid, because mermaids are so creative and so vibrant and so strong and so powerful. There are a lot of ways you can look at mermaids. I was a big fan of reading all these mermaid tales as a child, and I remember reading the book The Little Mermaid ever before I saw the classic back in 1989. I think actually I saw the classic movie and then I read the book by 1991, 1992. And I really appreciated how Disney at that time were creating such fabulous tales about legendary princesses such as Snow White and Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella, because those tales are often revered as some of the greatest of all time. And actually, I think that Malia Baker's portrayal of Chloe Charming was fabulously done. I don't think a better daughter of Cinderella and Prince Charming could have been envisioned by the way that Malia Baker brought her to life, because she really did, exemplifying character traits like she's often done for different shows that she's been a part of, like the Are You Afraid of the Dark reboot. That was Nickelodeon work. I was a big fan of Are You Afraid of the Dark, so when I knew Malia Baker was going to be a part of the Midnight Society, I was like, oh my god, this is great. Curse of the Shadows was an awesome reboot of Are You Afraid of the Dark for Are You Afraid of the Dark fans since October 31st of 1990, Halloween over 35 years ago. I want to say that everybody has a reason out there to be excited for Descendants 5, like a Wonderland, even though there is a lot of skepticism on the plot, what the plot is going to detail. Of course, the confliction that's going to be presented in A Rise from Out of the Abyss between red and pink. I love the color schemes and how the characters are named after specific colors. While people have criticized the color scheme of pink and her name being pink, and the color scheme of red and her name being red, I think that we have a lot to look forward to, including a rumored remix of the song Life is Sweeter When You Are, with the voices of Liamani Segura and Kylie Cantrell being added to the soundtrack. It's going to sound very different. It's not going to sound the same. I will admit to you with an open heart and an open mind this morning that it's not going to sound the same without Ruby Rose Turner's voice on that song, because I believe that song was specifically written for Ruby Rose Turner. Now, it's just a rumor. It has yet to be confirmed. But with how they remixed the song What's My Name for the Uma character, being the principal of Ordon Prep, coming into The Rise of Red, and her carrying on her legacy as one of the Descendant stars and one of the greatest of all time, because they remixed that song, it's no surprise to me that they're going to be remixing that song, Life is Sweeter With You Are, given the popularity of it and the introduction, and the emphasis being on over 13 different characters. I mean, how many characters popped up in that song? That's what made that song really lovely, honestly, because I do love fairy tale characters, and I've always believed that fairy tale characters have this essence, this real presence about them. And I think that a lot of people don't really take into consideration just how much fairy tale characters are often forgotten about, which is why Disney just pulls them from out of nowhere, out of obscurity, like Aladdin and Jasmine, who could have involvement in the Descendants franchise even more than they probably ever have. And of course we could see a visit to Agrabah, also see visits to Atlantica and Olympus. So many different legendary fairy tale lands have yet to find their way into the script of Descendants, which is why I say there are so many different twists and turns that this plot could take, and I'm really excited to see where we go from here with that. And given the history of Disney girls and how Disney has treated them over the years, I think that more creative freedom could be given to them. This is why Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim want to sit this one out by the time we get to Zombies 5 and we see it, because now creative control can be given to the producers and the writers and the directors. Because if Meg Donnelly is a director, she can put her input in on zombies, and of course we'll have that same kind of feel that Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim presented as Zed and Edison, because I think a lot of people are really missing Zed and Edison's portrayal of these characters. Now they really brought them to life, because as I said, people like Milo and Meg have this very gifted relationship, an incredible bond, if anything. You know, I've often wanted to have an incredible bond with some of my friends over the years like they've had, because they are incredibly close. They're always hugging, they're always kissing, they're always just flirting with each other, they're always at a mist. And I really like that, because that creates a lot of unpredictable vibe, and that really creates an unpredictable future for the Zombies franchise, because we don't know what's coming next. Milo Manheim teased mermaids, so I guess that's where the suggestion that mermaids and sirens will see their introduction into the Zombies franchise by summer 2027. I know a lot of people are really upset over the release window being so far away from when Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires premiered, but I mean, we had a 5-year release window, a 5-year hiatus for Zombies, so I think that a 5-year hiatus gave them time to develop a very powerful script that was far different from the original trilogy. And I wanted to see Disney get to a point where they wouldn't just have trilogies for things like High School Musical happen, because trilogies are just one way of looking at it, and trilogies are only so much of a story. I mean, you can't tell a story in 90 minutes and complete it. I don't know how people are getting away with how they believe that they told the story with The Rise of Red in 87 minutes. It wasn't even a 90-minute production. It was incredible what they told us in that story, but I think there's so much more of a story to be told, and that's why I'm really excited about the sequel, Descendants 5 Wicked Wonderland, or I believe they're just calling it Descendants Wicked Wonderland. I appreciate them taking the numbers out of this one, because calling it Descendants 4, Descendants 5, which pretty much just emphasized that we're getting to the end and seeing the conclusion of this, like how they called the video games Kingdom Hearts years ago, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 3. So they throw in games in between the releases just to extend the value of the product. So when we got to Kingdom Hearts 3, we pretty much knew the story was reaching its dramatic conclusion. So by the time Descendants 5 rolls out with the title and the number, well then obviously it's just a dramatic conclusion, and one can expect to see that dramatic conclusion. But just calling it Descendants Wicked Wonderland, we don't know how many more chapters are going to be written, and there are so many different chapters left to be written of this one, and with names like Milo Manheim and Meg Donnelly now in the producer's chairs, I'm really excited about this. I really am, because I've often wanted to be a producer of a franchise such as Descendants and Zombies, because I think there is so much more of a story to be told with this. And I'm really excited to see where, in fact, we do go from here, because it's one thing to tell a story about a werewolf and how a werewolf associates itself with a zombie, or how an alien associates itself with a werewolf, and now vampires being thrown into the mix. Apparently what the plot of Zombies 5 will suggest is that a group of mermaids will settle into Seabrook to encounter with a siren, which is a very powerful sea creature, and it's going to come out of this vortex, and that will cause all the supernatural forces that we've seen in the Zombies franchise, including werewolves, aliens, and vampires, unite to encounter the most deadly force to ever be faced of Seabrook. And of course Meg Donnelly and Milo Manheim will be producing this one, and I'm really excited about it. But again, I would love to be in the producer's chair for Zombies, because I think there's a lot more of a story to be told, and I'm really excited to see where that story goes from here. I was always a big fan of vampire TV, like Vampire Diaries, True Blood, Twilight. I was a huge fan of the franchise. I read all the Twilight books, and I know that's very strange to hear a guy saying on his YouTube show, but I really did love the Twilight books, and I remember how thick Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2 were, and, you know, seeing the dramatic conclusion that Twilight eventually got to, of course, Renesmee, of course, the daughter of Bella Swan and Edward Cullen. I think there could have been more of a story told with her, so the writer making the decision to never write a Twilight book again was just kind of closing the door, just to open up a new door for a new project. I think, you know, even though it looks like there's not much of an opportunity to tell a new story, I think there really is, but people don't really put a whole lot of emphasis on a new chapter being written or the chance of us ever seeing something happen. I know it was teased that the writer of Twilight was going to write a new book, but why can't we just give people what they want? I mean, Twilight is the most revered vampire saga in the history of vampire TV and movies. Just as Dracula was one of the most revered characters of all time, having 200 different variations of his character over the years. I've often wanted to be a vampire slayer in the Dawn of the Vampires saga, if you would. But if I get enough subscribers, probably 50,000 likes, 50,000 subscribers, only then will it happen for yours truly. And not to forget to mention that I have the biggest crush in the world on Meg Donnelly. I really do have the biggest crush in the world on Meg Donnelly, because Meg Donnelly was just such a powerful character and a representation of how second chances really do exist for somebody out there, even when you don't think that second chances do exist. They really do for people. And one can find their true love, even if it is with a zombie and a girl falling in love. I mean, Seabrook seems like a very beautiful place to live. I mean, so many supernatural creatures that are only in your imagination until the unveiling of Seabrook was ever in the script of a movie for Disney Plus and Disney Channeled. So I was really excited about a year and a half ago when D23 at the Expo announced that they were going to do Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, and the whole cast came there. The whole cast was out, and they were so proud to announce this. The passing of the torch was going to be happening. And I think there was a lot of emotion, too, and a lot of people really didn't want to admit how much emotion was packed behind this, because there is an emotional moment that everybody experiences when you realize the torches are being passed, and this is finally happening. It's like, oh my God, is this really happening? But it doesn't mean that we're closing the door on the franchise. We're just closing the door on a certain aspect of it. We're closing one door and opening up another, because when one door closes, another door opens, and this door has opened now for Freya Skye and Malachi Burton. Not taking anything away from their credibility. I just hope that Malachi Burton heads down a very promising path that I believe he's on, but we can always see twists and turns because he's been exemplifying a lot of unprofessionalism on social media with some of the photo ops he's been taking at gyms and stuff. So it's kind of questionable, his behavior, but I think he's got a long way to go and a lot to learn. But even though he's got a long way to go and a lot to learn, doesn't mean that he can't get there. I mean, Meg Donnelly started acting at 15 years old, started working with the Disney company, and she was under a lot of pressure because her family had no acting background. They didn't know the first thing about the business. Mike and Liz were never actors or actresses. They just pursued their daughter's career choice, and she became a success overnight. I mean, Fox didn't really see it with The Masked Singer, voting her off within weeks of her premiere on it. A lot of people didn't really see the potential with Meg Donnelly. Of course, on American Housewife and The Winchesters and Zombies, which was a huge success story for Meg Donnelly. All she ever wanted to do was be an actress, and she had the opportunity because she was a very powerful one. And she stood out not only for her ability as an actress, but also her positive messages, which is something that I give her a profound amount of credit for. I mean, Meg Donnelly, if there was anyone who could have ever portrayed the character Addison Wells as effectively, it definitely was Meg Donnelly, and the chemistry between Milo and Meg was just beautiful. It was absolutely fabulous, which is why I've always wanted the opportunity to work with them and work with names such as Ruby Rose Turner, because Ruby was never given enough credit. Ruby wasn't given much of a chance, and that really broke Ruby's heart, and it really broke mine in turn. Because Ruby was a beautiful person, and if you didn't have anything for Ruby to do in Descendants, couldn't you have at least found something for her to do outside of Descendants or with the Zombies franchise? In all honesty, I think Ruby would have been a powerful addition to the Zombies franchise, especially with this evil transformation from the kind Queen of Hearts to the evil Queen of Hearts, or something more evil far out there in Zombies. I mean, just because one is leaving the franchise doesn't mean they have to leave it entirely behind. They can exit one franchise and enter another. I say this because I've watched Ruby ever since Ruby was 12. And that's a long time ago. That's over a decade ago. I remember sitting at home on my couch watching Coop and Cammy Ask the World, Ruby doing all these fabulous music videos from Mirror and Ruby Rock, and thinking Ruby is just unbelievably, undeniably going to be a huge success for the Disney company. And I think they knew that because they gave her the opportunity to be on the Descendants Rise of Red soundtrack with a song specifically written for her, Life is Sweeter. And I've often been caught listening to that song. I'm surprised I don't have a noise complaint from my neighbor because I blast it on my Bluetooth speaker nearly every morning. I can be caught listening to that. There are so many powerful songs that Disney has put out there. Songs like Wind in My Hair, the theme song from the TV series Tangled, Arabian Night, the theme song of Aladdin. So many stand out from a Goofy movie. So many powerful songs that I think have resonated with us for over 30 years. And 30 years is a long time. I've been a fan of Disney for nearly 4 decades. Ever since I opened my eyes and came into this world and knew what Disney was and knew how to speak, I've been promoting Disney and I've been an advocate for Disney because I think there's a certain pride that goes with being a Descendants fan and Zombies fan. So too does there a certain pride go with being a Disney fan. Forever and always I will be loyal to the Disney company. I think there's a certain pride definitely with being a fan of Descendants and Zombies, and I don't think anyone should ever have that taken away from them because it's a huge opportunity to shine. And I think that's what the Descendants and Zombies franchises gave us, was an opportunity to shine, to make the most of every opportunity that we're given, even if it's not to be a Descendants or Zombies fan and to stand out for it. I think that Disney has a certain pride, has a certain elegance, if you would, and there's a certain elegance with being a Descendants and Zombies fan because so many people are so proud to put that on display. For collecting the dolls, buying the Halloween costumes, all the merch, attending the Worlds Collide tour, however you represent your fans, your pride for being a Descendants and Zombies fan, I just want to say thank you so much, because you don't have to be on this YouTube channel. You haven't, so you probably are thinking about hitting the subscribe button, and I would just love for you to be a part of this, because this really is an incredible journey for me that you girls had me on, and one that I will never ever forget, because I could be talking about anything this morning, but because of the profound success of Descendants and Zombies and the popularity of it, I think everybody is realizing the popularity of it and trying to capitalize on it. I'm not trying to really capitalize on it. I just recognize the popularity of it, and I know how much it means to each and every one of you, and I know how excited you are, or must be at least, for Zombies 5, because everybody is now trying to figure out, decipher what is actually inside of that vortex, because it really could be anything. We shouldn't just jump to conclusions. I think that there are so many fans of Zombies and Descendants out there who believe that these franchises will never ever see their conclusion, and a dramatic conclusion with that. And I'm just going to do everything in my power. I made a commitment to each and every one of you that every day there will be at least one video uploaded about Descendants and Zombies, and I stand to that, because there really does deserve to be at least one video uploaded every day about Descendants and Zombies, and I just want to be here to give that to you, to do that for you in a way that it was meant to be done for a very long time, with a rating of 6.2 for Zombies and Descendants, of course, ahead of it by just a 0.2 of a margin of 6.4, which is a lot of views. 781 million hours of stream time for the entire franchise, including The Rise of Red, with the original Descendants just a couple of days ago recording over 100 million streams. Wow. And we still have so much of a story to be told, and still a very long way to go with this, and I'm just thrilled to be here to cover it for you all. And it's really hard to believe that we're celebrating 10 years of Descendants. I often talk about the original cast too, and the pride that Cameron Boyce had. The legacy he left behind will never be matched. I often talk about the success stories of Dove Cameron and Sophia Carson for their friendship, and the characters Mal and Evie, and how people wanted so bad for people like Mal and Evie to be reprised, the roles to, come back to life. But of course, Dove Cameron believes they told the story and completed it. I just hope that Kylie Control and Malia Baker don't get to that point and see a moment. I think what we're really setting up for here is a passing of the torch from red to pink, and more of a story to be told. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm really excited to be introduced to this character and see what Pink is really going to offer to it, and if in fact we will see a remix of the song Life is Sweeter With You Are, with the voices of Kylie and Leah Money being added to the sound. I say this because there is so much of a story to be told left with this, and I think that people closing the door, desperately trying to close the door on the Descendants franchise, is just one way of looking at it. It's really trying to get on your last nerve. So I've just wanted to keep the doors open of possibilities for Descendants and Zombies and make them seem endless to each and every one of you, because we are on an incredible journey, and we are on an incredible journey together. I don't want to do this alone. I've never ever wanted to think about doing this alone. I've wanted you all along for the ride, because uploading videos about Descendants and Zombies with no subscribers and no views will be pointless. It will be utterly pointless for me to upload a bunch of videos about Descendants and Zombies by myself and produce these videos alone. So I'm really thankful that this YouTube channel, that one point in time, had 5 subscribers and now have nearly 3,000 subscribers with over 50,000 views strong. That's truly unbelievable. That's unprecedented, and I don't think I'll ever get to that point ever again. I've had a 27-year career, and your 30-year career, next year will be 27 years I've been doing this. But I have never had the honor to commentate on a niche as powerful as this, that has had such a profound impact on my life, and I know that this niche will forever and always have an eternal impact on my life, leaving an imprint on my heart that I will never ever forget. And I have each and every one of you to thank for that. In the final 2 minutes that I have this morning, I want to say thank you so much for really putting your heart and believing in the Descendants and Zombies franchise, and believing in the entire universe, and being there for each other, because that's an incredible commitment to have made. I know there are so many fans out there that love these two franchises so phenomenally, and I think that you deserve far better than what you've been seeing and what you've been hearing on YouTube, because there are so many people who criticize this. They call themselves critics, and there's a reason why they refer to themselves as critics, because that's what they are. They are at their very best at criticizing it, because they love to do it. They have tore the credibility down from the ground up of Descendants and Zombies, and I've been trying to rebuild it for each and every one of you to get you excited about Zombies 5 and a chance of an earlier release window, although I will go for a 3.5-year release window for Zombies 5, because that will give time for script development. That will give time for more of a chance for this franchise to really expand into something so incredible that you will be blown away by it by the time Zombies 5 or Dawn of the Vampires 2 happens. I think there is still such a journey to be embarked on with this, and I'm really excited to be on that journey. with each and every one of you, because I really do believe there is never enough kindness or never enough kind words said in this world, and we can get to that point. We really can get to that point, because so many people are so supportive of Descendants and Zombies, and that's why you're here. Because you want to hear nothing but the best in the way of reviews about Malachi Burton and Freya Sky and their on-screen and off-screen relationship, which we saw both on the screen, on the set of Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, and for the Worlds Collide tour. Beautiful performance, beautiful accolades, and a very promising future that it's really going to be a joy for me to sit behind this podcast microphone every morning and every night talking about it. So I will be back later on this evening, just before sunset, with another great video, which I hope you can join me for. It's really an honor for me to be able to sit behind this podcast microphone and talk about Descendants and Zombies, and thank you so much for being a part of this incredible journey. And if this is a dream, most certainly, I hope I never wake up from it, because it's the most beautiful dream that I've ever been a part of. Thank you guys so much for being so loyal to Descendants and Zombies, this universe, this experience, this time that we share is time that I will never ever forget. It means so much to me. Having said that, bye YouTube. We will talk again in just a few hours from now. Stay calm and zombie on, because there's never enough kindness or enough kind words said in this world, because we are in this, on this incredible journey together.